What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another edition of the 49K Prospect Spotlight, where you get a chance to learn more about NFL draft hopefuls. I'm Seth Sanchez, and I'm excited to be joined by another Tropical Bowl participant, as well as CGS All-Star participant, Akron cornerback Paul Lewis III. Paul, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for coming on, taking the time. Now, with these interviews, I like to start off with a little icebreaker, rapid fire, just to get the juices flowing a little bit. So I'm going to ask you 5 questions. First thing that comes to mind, you just spit it out, all right?
Gotcha.
First question, PlayStation or Xbox?
I'll say PlayStation.
All right, are you a morning person or a night owl?
I'm a night owl.
Favorite cheat day meal?
Buffalo chicken pizza.
that was specific. You had to think about that one a little bit. Do you have any game day rituals?
Nothing really. I wear the same socks. Like I always wash like these same pair of socks I get each pair of season.
That counts.
Yeah, that's probably like the main one.
Okay. Right. How often do you got to replace those? Just
oh yeah, it's like every like halfway through the season, I always pick like a new pair.
All right,
yeah. I wear those for the game days, like what I'm saying, just wash those game day socks.
Definitely gotta wash them. Yeah. Yep. If you could get a pick on any quarterback in the NFL, who would it be?
That's a great question. I would say Jalen Hurts.
Jalen Hurts. Okay, a tough one to get down, but I feel it. All right, Paul. Let's get back to talking about the serious stuff. Let's look back at your college career. So you had 5 years at Cornell, including the canceled COVID season. But this past year, your last, you decided to transfer to Akron. What went into making that decision for you?
I felt like I had more to give. And show, scouts and also. And I started getting a little bit more weight too. And my coach was like, hey, I think, your athleticism can be used like more around the field. Like you had a lot of film at corner and at nickel too. So maybe go to, a different school in a higher level, also showcase your talent, play another position as well.
Yeah. Well, was there a specific year in your college career where you felt like, the game started to slow down for you and things started to click a little bit?
Yeah, most definitely. It was about 2021. That was a year like we came back from COVID. And, that whole off season, I was grinding, trying to get better. And halfway through that season, it started clicking for me. I started getting more play time. And I realized like, I could do this as a career and for life.
As far as like the COVID season, because that's interesting. You felt like after that, it kind of all clicked. What did you do during that time off that really prepared you to take the next step?
I was mostly training, like that was like the main thing, but also just working in the, the real world, like outside of college. I still had to make money some way. So I worked in a restaurant and just like the endless days of, waking up like 6 a.m., work out, go to my restaurant job, get off my restaurant job, go work out again. Just like that multiple, just keep doing that over and over. It kind of just made me like fall in love with the game again. And like I was missing something. And then so when we got back into the flow of things and spring ball came around, like it all clicked, like the work wasn't like meant for anything. It didn't go to waste. I used that time off, like learn about myself more, get like more in tune with my body, and then now be able to put that on the field.
Definitely. I love that. I know for a lot of guys too, sometimes the film study process is kind of what helps them slow down the game. So walk me through your film study process, game preparation. What are you looking for in opponents?
The first thing I kind of look for in opponents, especially at DB, is kind of like who their main targets are. Because, we can go through route concepts all the day, but if you can key off on, on third down, he likes this guy over him. And I kind of just figure out, who their number one guy is and who's their main guy. And then after that, kind of just break down, pass play recognition, first, second, and third down. And then at Cornell, I mostly did pass play. I was at corner. So, like the run game wasn't that locked in as much to be in the box. So, yeah, just break down that first, second down. And then when I got to Akron, I kind of fell more into the whole concept of watching film and, rundowns, what are their tendencies? Are they like a counter team? They're a power team. Do they like the ball deep, intermediate, or do they do check down routes a lot? So yeah, that's the main thing.
So where do you feel like you're at right now in terms of, your run defense?
I think I'm pretty good. I played a lot of season. I mean, this past season, I played a lot of times like in the box, especially at that, we call it the boundary safety. So it's like the free safety. We mostly like the short safety. We would roll down in the box and I would usually be the guy like right there. And then towards the half of the season, I also played in the nickel and they would leave me on the field when they wanted to go in the big package. So I was definitely like, a run stopper. I think I had like 7 tackles for loss this season. So definitely like my play recognition got better as the season went on.
Yeah, absolutely. And you have so much versatility. So you were lining up everywhere, and I'm sure a team is going to love that about you.
Yeah.
But how about when you watch film on yourself? Like, what are some things you watch? Are you hypercritical of yourself? Like, what are you tuning into?
Yeah, I think I'm my biggest critic. I think like certain plays of like, oh, you took one too many steps here out of your break. Like a pass breakup could have been an interception if you were lower or more over into your like in my stance. Another thing I do a lot is just like how fast I did like play recognition. Like there's sometimes like it's counter, but you take an extra like second to think about it and you make the tackle for 1 yard gain when it could have been like a tackle for loss.
Yeah.
So, but no, I think most of the things is working on my footwork, like out of my break, make sure I'm staying low. And then like this year I was playing in the post a lot too. So that was one of the things I worked on a lot. Just make sure I kept my eyes on QB, didn't get faked out by, shoulders, just working on that each week.
Well, when I watch you, like I see the physicality you play with. You're patient, but you also have that quick trigger, Do you prefer to play pressman or off when you're playing corner?
In my early career, I loved pressman just because I'm a longer DB. I love getting the hands on the line, disrupting it. I think also though, like you make your money after you can play off man. So towards like the later half of my career, started just mixing up playing off man. So I wouldn't say I like either or. Like I like kind of like a combination of both, depending on who I play with.
Yeah.
But I think there's like pros and cons with both. But got love for pressman, like throwing a receiver off his route, getting in his head, then also playing off man, like reading the QB and the receiver, be able to jump routes and also just make plays that way.
Yeah, definitely. There's definitely a plus to either one of those. So yeah, definitely like the answer. And as you mentioned, like you're not a stranger to like the DB blitz either. Like being around in the box, having different spots that you line up at. So what's your mindset when you're asked to go after the quarterback?
Oh, that's like that's like money. Like the coach calls the play and like, well, I can get a sack or I can get a tackle for loss. Like that's like a DB's dream, especially at corner. If they call a corner blitz, that's like amazing. Like, I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is like, all right, I got one guy to beat. He's going to probably be slow off his foot. Kind of like, am I going to like, do a move, try to like long arm him or just try to get past him? But then also just make sure you keep contained too, because you can't just go out there wild. And yeah, but I mean, yeah, they call it blitz on. That's like DB's dream, pretty much.
Do you have any like pass rush moves that you like to bring out? Like, do you have a pass rush plan, or you just go?
It depends. Before the games, I always ask like our DNs, like, hey, how do you feel about the tackles this week? Or, the tight ends any good? And they're like, his kick step's kind of slow. So like, you're rushing off the edge, you get him speed. And then also like I noticed like throughout my career, I am a bigger guy, so like and I can get lower. So sometimes, the tackle's not going to expect you to like, if you do like a shutter step and like long arm them, they're not going to expect that. And I have many clips like of just doing that and the tackle's like falling back and just swipe under them, just certain stuff like that. It's all the nuance. It's just whoever's you playing or whatever, that you think of in that moment, to be honest.
Yeah, for sure. I love that though. So this past season or this past off season, you got the chance to participate at the CGS All-Star and the Tropical Bowl. First, tell me how it felt to get an invite to not just one of these like, pre-draft All-Star games, but two.
I mean, that was, a great accomplishment for me. I wanted to play in, some sort of All-Star game to get my name out there. Yeah. And, first I got hit up by the CGS and, that was a great opportunity. Many great players came from there. Went there, great coaches, great competition. I saw some familiar faces I played against before. So that was even like, better to get some time against. And then, it was a great opportunity, great way to talk to scouts and get my name out. And then, also got the Tropical Bowl, the a little step up, or, on the same par, just be able to go somewhere and, showcase my talents in front of scouts. So it was just a great opportunity, way to get my name out more, trying to, move the process along.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know you said, you saw some familiar faces, but from an iron sharpens iron standpoint, was there anyone, you went up against that challenged you in either of those weeks?
Yeah, there were some good tight ends at the Tropical Bowl. There were like a couple of big guys. They had ran some good routes. There were some couple, I can't remember which teams, but I know like on the Tropical Bowl, our team, like the we practiced. I guess we were the American team, the white team.
Mhm.
We had some great receivers. They gave us some good bump in those like two days of practice we had. And then also the other team when we played, they had some very fast guys, like slots that really put on the work. And the CGS, there was one guy I played against. He was at Ohio, the receiver. He was really good. Played him during the season. Played him again. And then also there was, if I'm not mistaken, I can't remember what school he went from, but he was a taller receiver. There was definitely some good bump in both of those.
Yeah, I mean, there's some gems in these All-Star games, and you're one of them. So
Yep.
definitely throughout this process, there's going to be guys who are going to be raising their stock. But I'm sure you've had a chance to meet with some teams already. Have there been any conversations that have stood out to you at all throughout this process?
Not too many conversations. I think it was more of like, get to know
Mhm.
the player. And then, a couple of teams, they'll watch me throughout the season and then say, they love, obviously they love what they see and they just want to keep seeing more. And that was mostly conversations, just get familiar with them, talk to a couple. And I mean, that's the first step, like to basically like just create that rapport with people, make sure, the interview goes good and everything. So yeah, nothing much stand out, but just more of, I'm glad to be able to talk to some of them, get my name out there.
Yeah, absolutely. And what would be your message to teams that, maybe aren't on the Paul Lewis train yet? Like, what would you want them to know about you?
Well, I'm a man of God first, like grew up in the church. My dad's a pastor. So I think that kind of leads my way of life. If that was, to be a provider for my family, treat everybody with great respect, and also even that, like striving for greatness. Like, I think like that's just the way people, and then also like to put positivity in others. That's like one thing. And also it's like, I'm a hard worker. Another thing. I mean, I came from Cornell, so graduated with a good GPA. And
Yeah.
I know people say it's tough, but they really don't know how tough it actually is, like to graduate from an Ivy League. It's one of the hardest ones, especially Cornell, to graduate from. So just be able to balance, football with time and, leaving practice for taking a prelim and then coming back to practice and just having to do that. And then another thing is just, my versatility. Like I've had about, 2 defensive coordinators, about 5 position coaches. So just
Yeah.
learned like many different playbooks, many different techniques from different coaches, and I excelled at every level. So I think, me being able to pick up plays and implement them pretty quick, and then also transferred and got the starting spot at a new position and still got, all MAC. I think that just basically shows like my versatility
Oh,
and
yeah.
willingness to compete. So yeah.
That's huge. I mean, just not just the versatility thing, but just being able to show that adaptability. And obviously, you show some of that with the versatility. But just as you mentioned, being able to learn from different coaches and maybe different terminology, different systems, and things like that, I think is huge. So we got a question here from the viewers. What's one thing that you've changed in your style of play that's helped develop your game?
That's a great question. When I was younger, I kind of overused my size, if that makes sense. Like, got too handsy and then get my feet involved. And that kind of would, hinder my ability, to make plays. So as I got older, I started to realize like use my feet more, and also like you're athletic, use that athleticism, and you can dominate somebody if you can match their feet. You don't always have to press them out of bounds. So I think that basically like elevated my game.
That's a great answer as well. That's awesome. Yeah, it's a big part of it. All right. Now, I know you're training for your pro day right now. When is your pro day, by the way?
Yeah, my birthday is March 19th. In
Okay.
Akron, Ohio.
So
Yep.
coming up, coming up. So what's a typical day of training like looking for you right now?
Usually I wake up by like 6:30, get like my first meal in, and then, just drink some water, getting ready, go to the field about like 7:30, 7:45. Do our like pre-workout, like warm up, get ready. And then we usually like Mondays and Thursdays, usually like a linear speed day, working on like power and basically like stride length and everything like that. And then after that, got like nutrition, eat another meal of like, fruits and stuff. Go to the gym, lower body lift. So one day is like power, other days like more explosive. So like bands and stuff
Mm.
on the squat. And then right after that, have another meal. And then we go to like playbooks. So like we go over like, just drawing on the board, working on interview questions, and also just like, knowledge of the game like that. And then I have like therapy right after that, and then eat something else and go home. And then that's like relaxation and just, chilling until like eat another meal for dinner and then sleep and then, do it all over again. Only difference is Tuesdays and Fridays I have like my DB work and stuff like that. And then Wednesdays recovery.
Talk about a routine, man. Like we got down like almost to the hour there. So yeah, I mean, I know this time is very like much about the regimen and preparing for that. So that's huge. Are there any specific goals that you have as far as like measurables? Like what do you want to test at all?
I wouldn't say like specific goals. I mean, everybody wants to have a fast 40, so that's the main point. Not too worried about that. Everything else, I think my numbers are really good. So make sure my DB like drills are clean, smooth, and then yeah, that's pretty much it so far. Like, and also just becoming a better athlete overall. Because I know training's mostly testing, but like if you're not like overall becoming, you can run fast, you can jump high, but if you can't move into be athletic positions, then that's no point in that. But mostly that, become smarter at the game. But yeah.
Love that. We've got a couple more questions here from the chat. Do you have any mental triggers or cues you use to shift into game mode?
Great question. Mental cues, I would say. Well, I mean, I play my music just to get in that mode, if that makes sense. And then usually I just like beat myself before games, like just for like a quick like 1 minute, 2 minute, not like hype yourself up, but just realize like like you're him. Don't worry about nobody else but you. And then once you do that, take the headphones out, and then after that, get ready for the game. And then once you hear that first like the whistle, my kind of just shock in and kick off.
I love that. Like words of affirmation. Like
Yeah. I would say another thing is like I like special teams. Like I always ask to be on kickoff, and like I also play because like that first like I don't know how to explain it. That first like whistle, and then you see the ball kick, like that just gets me into the game. So yeah,
I agree. Even just as a fan watching, like there's something about that first kickoff that's just like, oh, I'm ready. I'm pumped. I'm ready to go. So I'm with you. That's actually a great idea to get into it. How did you end up with your jersey number? I know you're rocking the number 9.
Yeah. So it was at Cornell I had 0. Like, I mean, that was, the thing at the time. Everybody was getting 0 because they made it legal now to wear. So, I mean, I wanted to be different. Nobody at Cornell had 0. So I was like, shoot, let me have 0. And with that, and I was like, I had that number. Actually, when I went to Akron, I was supposed to have 0 at first. But then I know the coach was like, he's not giving out 0 this year because I forgot what happened. There's only one number or something. So I was like, oh, it's all good. So like, it was between like 3 numbers. And my dad's old high school number was 9. So I was like, let me get 9. So yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. And then Joe asked, if you do not get drafted where you felt like you should have been drafted, how motivated will you be and what type of player will a team be drafting?
Wait, let me say, if you do not get drafted where you feel like you should have been drafted, how motivated will you be? Oh, I think, my whole life I've been, counted out. I wasn't a high recruit coming out of high school. Like even going into high school, people were like, oh, like, he's a lacrosse guy. He's not really a football guy. And then went to, FCS, but Cornell, they're like, oh, It's Ivy League. It's not too much to brag about. And then like you do good in Ivy League, well, they're like, oh, that's it. And then you go to FBS and they're like, oh, he's okay. I don't think he's going to do that good. And you do good. So, I mean, I've been counted out my whole life. And I think that just gives me like, not to like prove to other people that I can do better, because I mean, the only person that I prove every day is, my family, myself, and God. So I think that's going to motivate me even more. They don't draft me. Okay, that's cool. Whatever team draft me is going to get, the best out of me. I love this game. And, whoever misses out on me, misses out on, a great person, a great baller. And, that's just going to motivate me to do even better.
I love that. That was also a great question, and a great answer from you, Paul. All right, last one here from the chat. What's the most memorable interception you've had, and what made it so special?
It was 2023. It was my interception against Brown. The reason why I made it so it was a pick six against Brown. It was a home game. What made it so memorable was I remember it was a play before we so usually we stayed to one side. I played boundary corner and another field corner, and the field corner goes like, hey bro, the play's too good, just stay over there. And I'm like, okay. And my brother also plays that corner with me. He plays safety. He's my younger brother. Yeah. And so he called the play. He's like, hey, trap the flat. I'm like, bet. So boom, trap the flat. They did a screen, pick six to the house. And I was like, that was great. But that's not really what made it memorable. What made it memorable was the next quarter. So like right after I got the interception, ran off the field, I'm celebrating, and my brother walks up to me first. He's like happy. He's like, yo, you got your interception. It's me next. And I'm like, yeah, it's you next. The next quarter, like they throw a deep ball and it's to my guy. And I'm thinking I'm getting another pick. And out of nowhere, my brother comes from the safety, intercepts it. And I'm like, oh.
He said, that's mine.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, okay. And then like, that was like probably like the most happiest. That was probably the most happiest I've been playing football, just because not even my interception, but just because my brother, me and him got the experience in the same game. My parents were in the crowd.
That's awesome.
Like that was probably like a highlight of my life football career. And, just seeing him being happy too, because that was his first, that was his first career interception too. So like, I was just like, oh, that was crazy. And I was just like, I was celebrating more than him. Like later on, I was talking to my parents. And when we went out to eat, and I was like, did you see Jeremiah's interception? They were like, did you see your pick six? We're not talking about it. You see his
I love that. That's awesome. Yeah, that's definitely memorable. And that's funny because like when I was put out a tweet like an hour ago to promote this interview, and I was looking for a video to post it with, and that's the pick, or that's the video that I posted. Like usually I like to post with like like a little play that a player has made, and I'll just play it here for anyone that anyone hasn't seen it. I'll only play it because I don't want to get flagged by YouTube. But yeah, what I did like was the recognition. Like you knew right away it was coming. Like I could just tell you were waiting for it. So yeah, that's actually crazy that I used that clip and you mentioned it. But that's awesome. That's definitely a memorable moment. Now, Paul, I know that this is your relaxation time, so I don't want to take too much more of it. I'm gonna end this interview like I end all my other interviews with this question. What is a team, what is a fan base getting from you both on and off the field?
I mean, like I said before, they're going to get a man of God, first of all. They're also going to get, a hard worker. I'm not looking to go somewhere just to like coast by. I'm going somewhere to make an impact. And wherever I go, I'm feel the love of everybody, try to make everybody feel like they're at home and at peace. So, I'm going to give my all wherever I go, and then also just make memories too. So, yeah.
I love it. Paul, I get great vibes from you, man. I love the energy that you brought to this interview, and even just your answers. Like I could tell you're just super genuine. I know a team is going to love that. And yeah, I mean, even just watching, you play as well, I know you're built of the right stuff. So definitely wish you the best of luck in this pre-draft process. Good luck on your pro day, and obviously beyond that as well, the draft and obviously beyond that. So Paul, thank you so much for joining me today. And again, taking the time, eating into your relaxation time. But yeah, I really, really appreciate it. I know this is a busy time for you.
No, appreciate you for having me on here. Had a great time.
And I appreciate everyone that was in the chat, everyone that asked questions. Like, great questions, guys. This is awesome. Make sure you like this video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet, because there will be plenty more prospect spotlight interviews just like this one. But for now, have a good rest of your Monday, folks. Peace.